Meri Amber. I am a geek pop singer-songwriter, so I sing songs about ninjas, zombies, aliens, Doctor Who, Lego, fun stuff, usually at comic conventions, zine fairs, quirky events, alongside magicians, puppeteers, comedians, that sort of thing.
So while we're speaking of people you've worked alongside of, my first question for you is your favorite sidekick.
Sidekick?
Okay, now I have three choices for you to choose from. Just to make it easy.
Yep.
One would be a Yeti, one would be a prawn man, and the other would be Mafia puppets.
Okay, so performing with all of these, which I have done, which was fun, was really good. The Mafia Men have to take the cake because there was a whole troupe of them when I did that song. That was performed in the Entertainment Centre in Sydney, which has since been demolished and I believe is being rebuilt, but at the time it was a massive stadium performance and it was packed, which was really exciting, and here I am singing my song about the apple tree and basically being a psycho girlfriend, and if you decide to cheat on me, I will send my Mafia Men after you. And there was 12 Mafia Men puppets all dancing around to my song, which was really exciting. So that would take the cake. The Yeti was fun too, because it was a love serenade to a Yeti. The prawn man did a bit of thrusting on stage, which was rather odd. So I would say in that order, cool. Definitely.
Yeah, so most of your material is quite entertaining, it's quite funny. You have some a bit more serious, and it's something that a lot of people have asked many musicians, and I'm quite curious about. When you have a song that's quite personal, even the humorous stuff, it's always attached to a particular memory or emotion. Having to play that over and over, does it sort of, do you get numb to that idea, or is it you keep having that same rehash every time you play?
That's an interesting one. I think that even comes probably down to performance. Like sometimes if you've sung a song enough, you can completely tune out and just, I guess, sing the notes and the words, but if you're doing your performance properly, you're getting into it, and I guess in those cases then you do kind of go through the memories and the visualizations, and I guess that in that sense you're reliving the memory, though I would say you'd still get somewhat numb to it, because if you relive it over and over again, your mind warps it and it turns into something different, and I guess in that way you become more accepting of it.
So for a song like I'm a Crepe, do you get hungry every time you sing it? Because every time I've heard it so far, I get hungry for pancakes. So
yeah, that song is good. I mean, it does make me want crepes, but I don't know. I think I want crepes anyway. It's my like default state. Here in Wellington, there's been 2 crepe places thus far that we've gone to, and we've barely been here like 3 days, and we've already gotten crepes twice. So it's probably actually filtering into my system and making me want crepes.
Okay. So you're from Australia?
Yes.
From Sydney?
Yes.
Okay. As far as the music scene, obviously your sound is quite unique and eclectic, and the topics are not necessarily mainstream for a lot of people. Are you trying to break into the music industry, or are you trying to stay more with the nerd geek culture on that aspect, or is there a preference?
Thus far I have stayed largely apart from the music industry, which is rather odd, but even in my concerts that I've been holding myself, I've brought on magicians and comedians, and I had a chiptune artist for one of them, but I mean they're quite separate from the mainstream industry as well, because they're programmed Game Boy music obviously, and other chiptune sounds, 8-bit stuff. But in general, I haven't really been with the mainstream music industry. I tried at one point, but every time I wrote like songs about more normal things, they came out pretty boring, pretty dull, and people kept asking for the crazy ones. So I'm like, well, it's what comes out of me naturally. I just run with it.
So with this sort of a culture, quite often people will say accuse artists of saying you're running something for a particular sci-fi nerd culture just to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
And I know you haven't had a lot of that, but that does show up.
Yeah.
How do you retort to something like that? Is it what came first for you, I guess, is the question.
If I could write stuff catering specifically to the mainstream pop audience, there is no way I would do anything else, because that is so much easier to make a living from, and it's so much easier to get going with than writing specifically for a sci-fi nerd audience, which, to be honest, is a very tough market. it's a very difficult one to get into. If you're writing more mainstream songs, anyone from like a grandmother to a little kid can like it, and that's, I think, a lot easier to sell, because there's so many people like I'll sing my songs to and they'll be like, they sound nice, but I genuinely don't understand a word you're saying. I go overseas, like I'm going to Europe later this year to meet with family, and they're in a non-English speaking country. When I sing my Apple Tree song, which is got Mafia Men in it, they come afterwards and they say, that was very pretty, you have a lovely voice, and I'm thinking to myself, you have no idea what I sung about. And it's wonderful, they can enjoy the songs, but you're never going to build a fan base with people that can't connect with the songs. So if I could write more mainstream stuff, I really would. I've actually tried, and so I did give that a shot. My first song was I'm Not a Hypochondriac, I Want to Be an Amoeba, Air Vent, the Knowledge song, the Yellow song. They're all pretty nuts to start with, so I guess it's always come back to that. But yeah, if I could cater, I would rather cater to an audience that's easier to actually get, to be honest. Like, I'm being completely honest there. If I could, I probably would.
Oh, sure. Why would you work harder than you need to?
Yeah.
So speaking of your fan base, if people did want to actually find out more about your work, where would be the best place for them to actually find you?
My online home, which is my website. So my name is spelled funny because my parents were creative, so it's MERIAMBER, Meri Amber. And if you go to meriamber.com, that's my website. Basically, if you type it into Google at this point, I'm the only thing that comes up, which is good.
Makes it very easy.
Yeah. My website's my favorite place. You can play Block Breaker in the header of my website, which is exciting. There's lots of little secret things here and there, and always running some competition and win things good.
And so what's your next performance after Armageddon?
Okay, I'm doing Sydney Supernova, I believe, not this coming week, the week after, and then Perth Supernova after that, so I'm performing at those ones. They're over in Australia. I'm also doing the MCA Zine Fair, not performing so much as having a booth area in those, and they're the days I get back. I also believe between Sydney Supernova and Perth Supernova, I have a comic conversation geek at Sutherland Shire, so that's also in Sydney, but further south, and that's good because to pack in some more between travelling. Otherwise, I'm mainly just in a car or a plane.
What do you sing for yourself?
Sing for myself.
Because singing your own songs is fun,
yeah.
and it's clear that you enjoy doing it. But when you're not working on your own material, what's your go-to shower song? Like, what's the thing you really like to sing?
I have to be honest in that I do sing my own songs a lot, especially the new ones. But if I'm doing covers, it's a real mix. I don't know. I've done some, like, I do covers on YouTube every now and then. Like, for example, I do Junkyard Jam covers where I take random inanimate objects and kind of use them in different ways and create, like, you know, bass lines and stuff using them. For those, I'd use more kind of hip-hop-y songs because they are beat-based, and it's a lot harder to find melodic instruments in inanimate objects. Whereas if I'm doing something like an a cappella, I've done like the Invader Zim Christmas song, or a tripod, did like Fabian for a Christmas song as well, Songify medley, that sort of thing, so more random stuff. It's a bit of a mix, actually. It kind of goes everywhere.
Speaking of covers, so we heard a couple today during your performance.
Parodies, those ones.
Parodies, yes, the parodies, sorry. A cover would be something you'd pay for, a parody, something. And when you hear a song like that, so if you hear like a Taylor Swift song, for example, do you hear the lyrics, or do you hear what you could do with them first?
I hear the lyrics, except in rare cases, like I'm a Crepe, which was the Radiohead one, where literally I was singing that with another friend of mine called Gigi, who's also an excellent artist, by the way. A cappella, does computer game theme songs, and we were playing that one together at a con called Popcorn in Parramatta, and we could not sing it without singing Crepe. We sang all the lyrics as original and then Crepe. It just happened every time. And then I was like, well, it has to turn into I'm a Crepe.
Fair enough. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Is there anything you'd like to plug? Do you have like your album, anything like that? That's out?
Yeah, I've got got a 90s themed album out now called Retro Sherbet. There are songs there inspired by things like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Xena, Breakout, Block Breaker, Minesweeper, Tamagotchis, rom-coms, that sort of thing. Then there's Pop Goes the TARDIS, which is 13 songs all about Doctor Who, because I'm a bit of a Whovian. And yeah, if you go on my website, you can hear basically all my music for free and see what you like and get then high quality versions to keep for yourself. You can even read my comics on there largely. I post them page by page, so you can't read the full comic for some of them, but they'll get there and you can eventually. Otherwise, thank you for interviewing me.
Absolutely, thanks for coming. Appreciate it.